So the word in 1 Corinthians 10, 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13, it reads, there had no temptation taken you but such as common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way of an escape, that ye may be able to bear it. That's the King James Version. It says, there has no temptation taken you but such that is common. Let's stop right there first. He's saying there's no temptation that you ain't seen before. The world haven't seen it before. So he's saying the temptation that you may see, or the temptation that you're fighting off, it's not new. Let me break down the word common. I'm gonna break down the word common from the dictionary, and then I'm gonna break down common from the concordance. So common, it comes up as familiar. So God says, look, he says, there have no temptation taken you but such is common. So there's no temptation taken you but such is familiar. You familiar with it. So what does familiar mean? Familiar means well known. Familiar means having some knowledge about. So when the temptation comes, you're familiar with the temptation. You either familiar with the temptation because you was tempted, or you familiar with the temptation because your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, a close friend, you saw that temptation and they failed that temptation. So it's not nothing that's not common to you. It's not familiar to you. And then it says familiar, well known from long or close association. You've seen it before. You done seen this temptation before. Now watch this. Watch this. So now, let's dig into what temptation is. So we know that the temptation is common. It's familiar. We done seen it before. But what is a temptation? A temptation, the definition, the definition of temptation is a desire to do something wrong or unwise. A desire to do something wrong or unwise. And then unwise is a action not sensible or it's foolish. An act that's not sensible or it's foolish. Right? So a temptation is a desire to do something wrong or unwise. That's the definition of a temptation, right? But here's what the concordance says about a temptation. A temptation, this is God's, this comes from the concordance. So this is what God is saying for that particular verse. A temptation is a putting to proof, testing, being tried. So the definition says a desire to do something wrong or unwise. But God said for this particular verse, it's a test for you. being tried. And he wants you to put him to proof. God wants you to show him that you can pass this temptation. So look, let's go back to what the word say, right? So the word says, there have no temptation. There has been no temptation taking you but such is familiar, common to man. But God is faithful. Now watch this. Watch this. Here's one of the most important parts about this verse. He said there have no temptation taking you but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not, watch this, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with temptation, watch this now, this is important, but will with temptation also make a way to escape. Y'all didn't get that. Y'all didn't get that. Y'all didn't get that. I'm going to tell you why you didn't get that. God just said, when the temptation come, at the same time that the temptation come, I will make a way for an escape for you. That's what he said. He said, when you are tempted, when you are tried, when you are tested, when you're about to do something foolish, when you're about to do something unwise, I'm going to make a way for you to escape at the same time that the temptation comes. When the temptation comes, the escape comes. And he said, when the temptation comes, it's familiar. It's common. It's common to man. So in other words, what he's saying to us is, everybody at one time is going to go through the same type of temptation.